So we're going to start lying on our backs now. Let yourself lie down and see what shape you fall into, first of all. If you were a letter, what letter would you be? I see from myself in the camera that I look like more of an X, but my body right now feels like a T. If you have a camera, it's helpful to look at that dichotomy of what our self-concept is versus how we actually express ourselves. But either way, it's just good to know. And then once you're in that position, let's start with just rolling the head side to side. I'm getting a sense of how far the chin goes to either side. Do our shoulders accompany? Does our ribcage accompany? Where do we feel this in our body? And then just roll one hand down and up. If you initiate from the hand wanting to tumble, like a tumbling tumbleweed, how far does that go through the two bones of your forearm or the single bone of your shoulder up into the conglomerate of bones of the shoulders? And then rest. Maybe the landscape of that hand looks different. Change that exploration to the other side. Rolling the hand to start this cascade of bony cacophony, a lovely cacophony that goes through your body. Let that rest. And then bring your feet more towards each other so they're a little more parallel. And start the rocking of the toes, shifting over the heels, creating this global kind of like the kind of wave you make if you're shaking a bottle of water side to side. And then rest. Let your feet fall where they will. As you exhale, narrow your legs together almost like you could squeeze a block in between the ankles. Turn your palms down. We're going to inhale, turn the palms up. Inhale into your back body before you let the lifting of the palms actually flare and lift your lower ribs. And then exhale, turn the palms down, flipping your ribs down like Venetian blinds. Enjoy 3 more of those, taking the time to let this have the profound effect that it can on your interior landscape. Notice how your feet stamp down and away from that, giving the psoas the traction it needs to let your diaphragm fly free. Exhale down. Somehow I think the diaphragm sails more than flies, but you have your own inner nature. And notice how this is creating length in the pelvis, pulling the bottom pelvis away from the top pelvis. So those little dips on the sides of your glutes are getting bigger and bigger. And then rest again. Notice if your shape has changed or if you're taking up more space, or if you're taking up space with a different attitude. Let your body take the shape of the space it needs, and just rotate your right foot, your right knee, your right leg a few times. Rest. Change. Rest. Breathe. And then readjust, occupying a little more space. We're going to start to just take the right leg across the left, keeping the right leg parallel, and then open. 8 times windshield wipers, true adduction and abduction. So not turning the thigh bone out. This is just so good for your lower back, the inside waist, and the thighs. And change size. So one of those exercises where if I could only give 3 pieces of homework to almost anyone, this would probably be in it. One of my favorite parts of it is that I can lengthen my lower back without having to press it to the floor. The natural lumbar curves are supported as we move through the psoas line. Change again. We'll do 4 and 4. If you don't like coordination exercises, change side. Go ahead and stay with 8s. We'll repeat the 4s again. This is called ballet dancer math. Left. Take the arms closer up. You can even start to grab the hands. Do 2s. And 2. 2 is 4 times each side. And let your arms begin to do what they need to let that C curve move through your body. And then rest. Breathe behind your navel. So every breath is like a pebble that you throw into a pond. It plunges, but the reverbs happen spherically and as much vertically in relation to the ground as horizontally rippling through your body. And then let's let the right leg cross over the left again, but this time let's let it swing. And then open back out to the X position. Crossing over, rotating the pelvis, but maybe not so much the ribs. You're not going to try to glue the ribs, but your right arm's going to be heavy. If you feel like your knee is potentially unstable with this, put more energy into the Barbie doll foot, the ball of the foot that points. You'll find that helps to stabilize the knees experience. And then we'll come back to center, we'll change sides. Bend both knees. I really want to band this. So we'll band it. Go ahead and grab your 2 mini bands. And we'll put one somewhere and one somewhere else. That really helps to narrow it down, you know. There are so many places where this can be good. I'm also going to grab a lighter weight band. Sometimes it's nice to have a little less resistance with the arms because there's so much potential for organization in where your shoulders are in space and where the elbows are. So I'm using like a 5-pound band around my wrists. And then I'm going to start with a thicker band around my ankles, but reserve the right at any point just to pull it up until it's like a pencil skirt, either right beneath the knee or right above the knee. So let's coordinate some bridges now that we have all of our glutes and our arms in line. So you take the hands up, and when you feel like your hands have invisible strings pulling your pelvis up, let that be real. Exhale, take the hands down to move the hips down. Do that 3 more times. And feel what piece of your glutes are engaging now. I'm going to raise the bands up to right beneath the knees. That allows me to bring my legs a little wider. And this time we'll have alternating arm walks. So let's go up into a bridge. We'll pull with our right arm first. And if that causes a spiral in your pelvis, yay, you've established your human. Exhale, take the right arm down. So the left arm anchors. We'll do 4 of these. Change sides. I feel like we're doing like a Bob Fosse synchronized swimming routine. You know, his arm meow cat stuff. We'll have 4 with both. And then take your legs up. We'll bring the band around the bottom of the knees, and then we'll take the other band around it and just hold back with our hands. So we've created kind of an X in between all of ourselves. And just here, let's have 8 foot circles in each direction, feeling the pressure of the back of the legs to continue to unwind those big, long fascial chains. So this is love not only for your ankles and feet, but also for your knees. And if the knees are happy, well, the hips are happy. Change directions if you haven't already. And then let's have a little side-to-side action. So let's abduct the right leg as far as we can go. And then come back up. And the left. So the side that's up is really stabilizing. The other side is pressing down. The band at this point is probably rolled up around your knees, so maybe it's not the happiest band. You can always unroll it, or you can just remember that you're not going to lose a limb, and the pressure will end soon, but ultimately is good for you. And let's take the band around our feet. And maybe back around our hands. Let's play with rolling into a bridge, and then coming back up. So pressing out for stability. Bridge doesn't have to be bridge right away. It could just be that you're pushing into your ankles enough that it takes your pelvis with you, and it gives you a back stretch. And then what happens if you start to play with a scissoring action, reaching your arms out as your legs go down. As the legs go back, the arms counterbalance. As they go down, the arms reach away, because the further you reach away from the center, the more you slow your movement down. Right? That's how centripetal force works. Or centripetal force. The momentum force. One more of these. And then let's take the left leg of the band. And you can hold onto it with your hands, or you can bring it behind your head, or you can crochet, which involves taking a loop of one mini band around the other to make a longer band also go behind your head. Either way, we're just going to do a little bit of the journal flossing here in a single leg stretch. So band as you wish, and then point and flex your feet. And notice if any other pieces of you are pointing and flexing as well. I like to put my hands behind my head so the band is secure. And then try some circles. The other thing about banded work is sometimes it turns into unwanted hair removal procedures, and we want to try to avoid that, especially with the hair on our head. Change circle directions. And from here, we're going to release the band. We're going to go back into the leg swings, only now we're going to anchor over our left side. So the right leg's going to open out. And the knee can bend. We can pull the right knee in towards our elbow. And it's going to cross all the way over. Try 8 of those. So you're pivoting over your left side with a sailing captain right at your right foot and your right knee. Lots of external rotation, lots of internal rotation. Come back to center. Change sides in a very happy manner. So we'll go to the left foot. We'll stretch the right leg out. We'll connect it where we wish. And then we just start with the pointing and flexing. Notice how pointing and flexing the 1 foot button activates a bunch of other buttons in our body elevator. It's like the 6-year-old boy in the 32-story elevator. Oh, let's turn this one on. Let's stop at this floor. And then circles. Change. Enjoy it for a moment. And then coming out, big old crosses, open swing, and then over, anchoring off of the right side of your body. Letting everything tumble in and out. I recently had a really great bodywork session with this guy called Ari Stein. He does orthobionomy in Monterey, highly recommend. And he was talking to me about his theory that really the body was created spherical, and then in an effort to remain standing and walking, it began to set limits until finally it turns into, as we age, a more linear, rigid thing. I thought that was an interesting concept. We're going to go ahead now. We're going to take our left leg over. We're going to take our left arm over our head to move onto the floor. So I'm just going to demonstrate that move again because this is going to come into play a lot now. Actually, let's just all practice it. So your right leg can be as bent as you like, depending on the pivot point. But come back onto your back. Your left leg is down. Your right arm is up. You're going to swing your left leg over the right side of your body. You're going to swing your left arm over your head. And you're going to roll over your right shoulder, lifting your right hip over your hand to come down to the floor. And then come back by lifting the hip. Come over the right hand. Let it come back. Open twice more. Over to the ground. And back. And through. And over to the ground. And back and through. Same thing. Right side. So lengthen the right arm away from the right leg. Your left side is your pivot point. You're going to cross your right leg over your left. And then you're going to cross your right arm over your left. You're going to slide your left arm underneath your body by lifting your hip. And then take the hip down. So we're in like a half leg position here. And lift the hip to slide the arm under and allow it to start the roll back. 3 more times. Over. Your head is a good friend here. You can also use your head as an anchor and a pivot point. We're going to stay on the floor for this fourth one. We're going to take our hands by our shoulders, looking at your right knee. Come up and down to Cobra 4 times. This is another exercise where if I could only give 3 exercises to all of humanity, this would be in there. Would it fix them? I mean, I don't know, but if I could, I'd give it to them. Now to come back, slide your left arm under your right hip. Roll over, unfold facing the ceiling. Slide your left leg to the right, your left arm over your head. Take your right arm under your right hip. Here we are down. 4 half cobras, looking at the left knee. Down and up. Down twice more. Coming back, left arm unwinds, right arm reaches down to the hip. Come back into center. Change sides. Over. We're going to add on. Pick up your right foot and bring it down. Hello, glutes. 4 times. 3 and 4. Now we're going to do the semi-cobra. If you want to start bending your back leg or lifting the knee, you can. But let that come from your body's desire to harmonize. You know, like the person at the birthday party who has to sing it in thirds. We love that person so long as they're on key. Slide back. Around. Keep cartwheeling on the floor to change sides. Right arm slides under your hip. Here we are. Left foot goes up and down 4 times, high glutes. Cobra. And come back. Left arm slides, right arm comes underneath. Come into center, give yourself a bridge. Now the bridge makes it easy. You can slide your left arm underneath your right and roll. Your right arm will naturally come over the side to the Cobra. 4 times up and down. And now we're going to come up and we're going to lift our hips back. You can roll over your right knee here to sit back into a modified figure 4 stretch. If that doesn't work for your knee, you can pivot your knee the other way and go child's pose. And then come back into a kneeling 4th position. Okay? So your options are just child's pose and then pivot the knee, or coming back into a figure 4 and then forward. So our body forgets about these transitions, and then when we fall, we don't know how to fall circular to the ground, and we wind up falling onto things. I'm going to stop talking about my theories here and walk you through the transfer. So come back to the semi-cobra. Come down, take your left arm high. Roll. Thread your left foot underneath your right. Unfold your arms. Bridge. Slide your right arm underneath your right hip and push onto your right shoulder. Take the left hand over your head. Swing the left knee up. Half cobra 4 times. And then forward and back. Push up, lift the hips, sit back over the shin, or sit back in child's pose. 4 times. Establishing how we roll with a little compression. We're just going to repeat that much of the sequence 1 more time to each side, and then roll around like happy babies. So, transitioning. Right arm extends. Both legs bend. Thread your right leg underneath your left. Unfold your left hand. Bridge. Left arm slides. Come over the top. Half cobra. Let's take ourselves all the way. Peeling up. And back. And up. And down. Do your variation. Let your knees be the cautious guide of what works for you today. Out of all the joints, they probably have the least potential rotation. They've got about 3 degrees of potential rotation within the structures that support that, what we call a hinge joint. Don't get me started on that one. But let it set your limitations. We don't want to stress that one out. We don't want to stress anything in the body out. Let the right arm in the fold. Take your right leg back, thread your left leg through, bridge, right arm reaches towards the left ankle, push over the side, into the cobra, up and back 4 times. And then come back, grab a couple of your mini bands on the way, and put the loosest one around your feet. And I think from here, take another one, lace it through the middle, so your hands have something to hold on to. And just let your hands rest inside your legs. You can bring them to prayer. Hang out there, enjoy the compression. We'll take 4 breaths. And send the breath to whatever doors feel like they want to be open right now. Then take yourself out. Take a few breaths back in whatever shape your body wants to make.